Captain Jake Morrison stared at the screen in his ship's command center. The metal object floating in space near Jupiter looked nothing like anything humans had ever built. It was long and thin, with strange blue lights running along its sides. The object had appeared 3 hours ago, and now it was sending signals toward Earth. "Sir, we're getting another message from the alien ship," said Lieutenant Ben Clark from his position at the communications desk. His voice shook slightly as he spoke. "They want to talk to our leaders." Jake rubbed his chin and thought carefully. His ship, the Dawn's Edge, was on a routine patrol mission around Jupiter when they first spotted the alien vessel. The ship was small, maybe half the size of Jake's own vessel, but it moved in ways that seemed impossible. It could stop and turn instantly without any visible engines. "Put me through to Admiral Carter at Orbital Command," Jake said. "She needs to know about this right away." The screen flickered, and Admiral Lisa Carter appeared. She was sitting in her office high above Earth, in the space station that controlled all of humanity's space activities. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her blue eyes looked serious. "Jake, what's the situation out there?" she asked. "Admiral, the alien ship has been trying to contact Earth for the past hour. They're using basic math and pictures to communicate. From what we can understand, they want to meet with our government leaders." Admiral Carter nodded slowly. "We've been preparing for this day for years. Dr. Brooks and her team are ready to help with translations. Commander Walsh is already on his way to your location with a diplomatic team." Jake felt relieved. Commander Ryan Walsh was one of Earth's best negotiators. If anyone could handle first contact with an alien species, it would be him. 2 hours later, Commander Walsh's ship arrived and docked with the Dawn's Edge. Walsh was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. He always stayed calm, even in difficult situations. Behind him came Dr. Helen Brooks, a scientist who had spent her whole career studying the possibility of alien life. "Captain Morrison," Walsh said as he stepped onto the bridge. "What do we know about our visitors?" "They've been very patient," Jake replied. "They're just floating there, waiting. They sent us some basic information about themselves. They call themselves Zephyrians, and they seem to come from somewhere very far away." Dr. Brooks looked at the data on her tablet. "Their language is complex, but we're starting to understand it. They seem friendly enough. They keep talking about something called the Galactic Confederation." The alien ship suddenly sent a new message. This time, it included images of the aliens themselves. They looked somewhat like humans, but taller and thinner. Their skin was pale blue, and they had large, dark eyes. They wore simple white clothes and seemed to move gracefully. "They want to send a small group over to our ship," Dr. Brooks said, reading the translation. "3 of them. They say they come in peace and want to talk about Earth joining their confederation." Commander Walsh thought for a moment. "Tell them, yes, make sure they understand that we have weapons and will use them if needed." An hour later, a small shuttle left the alien ship and flew toward the Dawn's Edge. Jake watched it dock with his ship. The shuttle was smooth and quiet, much more advanced than human shuttles. When the airlock opened, 3 tall aliens stepped out. The leader introduced himself as Ambassador Krell Vox. He spoke in broken but understandable English. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We have traveled far to meet you. We bring good news from the Galactic Confederation." Commander Walsh stepped forward. "Welcome to our ship, Ambassador. I am Commander Walsh, and I speak for the people of Earth. We are honored by your visit." Ambassador Vox smiled, which looked strange on his alien face. "We have watched your world for some time. You are a young species, just beginning to explore space. We offer you protection and friendship." Dr. Brooks quietly recorded everything while Jake and his crew stayed alert. The aliens seemed friendly, but humans had learned to be careful with strangers. Tell us about this Galactic Confederation, Walsh said. It is a great union of 847 worlds, Vox explained proudly. We have peace across 12 galaxies. We help young species like yours grow and learn. We protect them from dangers in space. The ambassador went on to explain that the Confederation had different levels of membership. Earth would start as a Tier 7 member, which meant they would get basic protection and some trading rights. To move up to higher levels, Earth would need to prove it had advanced technology and could contribute to the Confederation. What kind of proof do you need? Walsh asked. We must see your weapons, your ships, your factories, Vox said. New worlds have very little. They are happy to accept our protection, but some worlds want to be more than protected. They want to be partners. Jake noticed something strange in the way the aliens looked around his ship. They seemed surprised by the advanced computers and the smooth metal walls. One of them whispered something to another in their own language. Dr. Brooks caught Jake's eye and nodded slightly. She had noticed it too. The aliens were impressed by things that humans considered normal. We will need to speak with our leaders on Earth, Walsh said diplomatically. This is a big decision for our people. Of course, Vox agreed. We will. Wait, but do not wait too long. There are dangerous forces in the galaxy. Young worlds need protection quickly. As the aliens returned to their ship, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was not quite right. The Zephyrians seemed to expect Earth to be much more primitive than it actually was. They acted surprised by the most basic things on his ship. What do you think, Commander? Jake asked Walsh quietly. Walsh watched the alien shuttle disappear into their ship. I think they're in for a big surprise when they see what Earth is really capable of. 3 days after the first meeting, Ambassador Krell Vox sent another message to Earth. This time, he wanted to speak directly with Earth's government leaders. President Amanda Stone agreed to meet with the aliens at the orbital command station. Above Earth, President Stone was a strong woman with short blonde hair and sharp green eyes. She had led Earth through many difficult times and was not easily impressed. She sat in the large meeting room with her best advisors around her. General Kevin Ross sat to her right, a big man with gray hair who controlled Earth's military forces. Director Susan Price sat across from him, a quiet woman who ran the Terror Defense Initiative. Madam President, Ambassador Vox said as he entered the room with 2 other Zephyrians. We are honored to meet the leader of Earth. Welcome to our station, Ambassador, President Stone replied politely. Please, sit down and tell us more about your offer. Vox took a seat and spread some papers on the table. The papers showed pictures of different alien worlds and their technology levels. As I explained to your people, the Galactic Confederation has many levels of membership. Most new worlds start at Tier 7, which gives basic protection. He pointed to a picture of a simple spacecraft. This is what most Tier 7 worlds can build. Basic ships for short trips. Nothing fancy. General Ross looked at the picture and tried not to smile. The alien ship in the picture looked like something humans had built 50 years ago. To reach higher levels, Vox continued, a world must prove it has advanced technology. We need to see your best ships, your strongest weapons, your most important factories. Then we can decide if Earth is ready for Tier 6 or maybe even Tier 5 membership. President Stone nodded thoughtfully. And what would higher membership give us? Better trading rights, access to advanced technology, protection from the most dangerous enemies, Vox explained. But we must be careful. We cannot give powerful technology to worlds that are not ready for it. Director Price spoke for the first time. What kind of demonstration would you need to see? Show us your military power, Vox said confidently. Most young worlds have a few small ships with basic weapons. If Earth has more than that, we would be very impressed. President Stone looked at General Ross and nodded slightly. They had planned for this moment. Very well, Ambassador. We will show you what Earth can do, but I want you to understand that this will be a small demonstration. We do not want to frighten you. The next day, Ambassador Vox and his team were taken to a viewing platform on the space station. Through the large windows, they could see empty space where the demonstration would take place. Director Price stood with them, along with several human officers. What should we expect to see? One of the Zephyrians asked. Just one of our standard battleships, Director Price said, casually. Nothing too impressive. Suddenly, space seemed to bend and twist. A massive ship appeared out of nowhere, as if it had been invisible. The ship was enormous, easily 10 times larger than the Zephyrian vessel. Its black hull sparkled with energy, and blue lights ran along its sides. Ambassador? Vox stepped backward, his eyes wide. How did it do that? Quantum phase shields, Director Price explained simply. The ship can become invisible when needed. Commanded by Captain Danny Leo. It's one of our newer vessels. The Meridian slowly turned. In space, showing its full size. Weapons ports opened along its hull, revealing rows of torpedo tubes and energy cannons. The aliens could see the ship's shields shimmering around it like water. This is your standard battleship? Vox asked, his voice shaking slightly. Yes, we have about 3,000 ships like this one, Director Price said, as if it was nothing special. This class is good for basic patrol work. One of the other Zephyrians whispered something in their language. Vox looked even more worried. Would you like to see our defensive systems? Director Price asked politely, before Vox could answer. The space around them filled with small objects. Thousands of tiny ships appeared, moving in perfect formation. They flew around the Meridian like a cloud of metal insects. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster's voice came through the speakers. Deploying reconnaissance drones for the demonstration. 50,000 units now active. The drones moved together like they shared one mind. They formed complex patterns in space, then split into groups and reformed instantly. Each drone was small, but the aliens could see weapons built into their sleek bodies. These are just scouts, Director Price explained to the stunned aliens. We use them to check areas before sending our main ships. Each drone can think for itself, but they work together as a team. Ambassador Vox watched the display with growing alarm. His own people's most advanced military consisted of a few hundred ships spread across multiple worlds. What he was seeing here represented more firepower than entire sectors of the Confederation possessed. How many of these drone units do you have? He asked quietly. This is just one of our smaller swarms, Amy Foster said over the radio. We have much larger groups for serious work. The demonstration continued for another hour. The Meridian showed off its speed, moving faster than the aliens thought possible. Its weapons hit targets from incredible distances. The drones performed maneuvers that seemed to break the laws of physics. When it was over, Ambassador Vox sat down heavily in a chair. His hands shook as he tried to write notes about what he had seen. Ambassador, President Stone said gently, "Are you feeling well?" "I need to contact my leaders immediately," Vox said. "This changes everything. We thought, ... We expected, ... You expected us to be more primitive," General Ross said, not unkindly. Vox nodded slowly. "Most worlds that contact us have one or two small ships, maybe a few hundred weapons. But you have shown us today, ... It is beyond what many Tier 3 worlds possess." Director Price looked surprised. "Really? This was just a basic demonstration. Didn't want to show you anything too advanced." The aliens exchanged worried looks. If this was basic, what did Earth consider advanced? "I must speak with the Galactic Council," Vox said, standing up unsteadily. "They need to know what we have found here." As the aliens prepared to leave, President Stone spoke one last time. Ambassador, we hope this demonstration helps you understand that Earth is ready for greater responsibility in your confederation. We look forward to being good neighbors. But Vox was no longer thinking about Earth as a neighbor. He was thinking about Earth as something much more dangerous and powerful than anyone in the galaxy had imagined. After seeing Earth's military demonstration, Ambassador Krell Vox had many sleepless nights. He contacted the Galactic Council and told them about the powerful ships and drone swarms. The council members were worried but curious. They wanted to know more about Earth's capabilities before making any decisions. Ambassador, came the voice of Council Leader Zara Dex through the communication device. We need you to learn about their industrial power. How do they build such advanced ships? What kind of factories do they have? Vox nodded, though his hands still shook when he remembered the demonstration. I will ask to visit their production facilities. The next morning, Vox met with President Stone again. Madam President, the Galactic Council is very interested in Earth's technology. Could we perhaps visit some of your manufacturing centers? President Stone smiled warmly. Of course, Ambassador. We would be happy to show you how we build things. Director Paul Chen runs one of our facilities on Mars. I think you would find it educational. 2 days later, Vox and his team traveled to Mars in a human transport ship. The journey that should have taken weeks with Sci-Fi technology took only 6 hours. The human ship moved through space faster than anything the aliens had ever experienced. Director Paul Chen met them at the Mars spaceport. He was a friendly man with black hair and a big smile. He wore simple work clothes and seemed very relaxed. Oh, welcome to Mars Industrial Complex, Chen said cheerfully. This is one of our smaller manufacturing centers, but I think you'll find it interesting. As they walked from the landing pad, Vox looked around in amazement. The facility stretched as far as he could see in every direction. Huge buildings rose into the red Martian sky, and flying vehicles moved between them like busy insects. How big is this place? Vox asked. Oh, not too big, Chen replied casually. About the size of your average Earth city. Maybe 2 million workers during busy periods. Vox stopped walking. The largest factory in Zephyrian space employed 50,000 people and was considered a marvel of engineering. This single human facility was 40 times larger. They entered the first building, and Vox saw something that made his heart skip. Huge machines, each the size of a building, were constructing starship hulls. The machines worked without any human operators, moving with perfect precision. Taint. Sparks flew as metal was cut and shaped, and the noise was tremendous. These are our basic construction mechs, Chen explained, shouting over the noise. Each one can build a ship hull in about 12 hours. We have 800 of them in this building alone. Chief Engineer Maria Santos joined them as they walked deeper into the facility. She was a small woman with brown hair tied back in a ponytail. She carried a tablet and seemed to be checking many different things at once. How's production today, Maria? Chen asked. Pretty good, Santos replied. We finished 67 ships this morning. The afternoon shift should complete another 40 by evening. Vox felt dizzy. In one day, this single facility produced more ships than the entire Zephyrian fleet possessed. And this was just one of Earth's smaller manufacturing centers. They continued the tour, moving through different sections of the complex. In one area, Vox saw machines creating complicated electronics faster than his eyes could follow. In another, robots assembled weapon systems with incredible speed and accuracy. We use automated systems for most of the work, Santos explained. Humans mostly supervise and design new things. The machines can work all day and night without getting tired. How many facilities like this does Earth have? One of Vox's assistants asked nervously. Chen thought for a moment. On Mars, maybe 20 or 30 complexes this size, but Earth itself has much bigger ones. And then there are the facilities in the asteroid belt and the ones around Jupiter. Vox had to sit down on a nearby bench. The scale of human industrial power was beyond anything he had imagined. The Galactic Confederation's combined manufacturing capability was less than what humans had on a single planet. After lunch, they visited the research section of the complex. Dr. Nathan White, head of the Lunar Research Facility, had come to Mars specifically to meet with the aliens. He was a tall, thin man with gray hair and kind eyes. "I heard you wanted to see some of our technology," Dr. White said with enthusiasm. "I brought a few samples of things we're working on." He led them into a laboratory filled with strange devices and glowing screens. On one table sat a small box with blinking lights. "This is a faster-than-light communication device," Dr. White explained. "We can send messages instantly to any of our colonies, no matter how far away they are." Vox stared at the device. The Galactic Confederation had been trying to develop instant communication for thousands of years. The best they could do was reduce message delays to a few days. "And this," Dr. White continued, pointing to another device, "is a matter replicator. It can create any object you want using just basic materials." He pressed a few buttons, and the machine hummed to life. Moments later, a perfect apple appeared in a small chamber. "We use these to make food and spare parts for our ships," Dr. White said, taking a bite of the apple. "Very convenient." The tour continued with more impossible technologies. Dr. White showed them dimensional storage devices that could hold entire warehouses worth of materials in a box the size of a book. He demonstrated gravity manipulation tools that could make heavy objects float in the air. "These are just some of our basic research projects," Dr. White said modestly. "Nothing too fancy. The really advanced stuff is still in development." By the end of the day, Ambassador Vox could barely speak. Everything he had seen challenged what the Galactic Confederation thought they knew about technology and industrial capability. "Director Chen," Vox said quietly as they prepared to leave, "how long did it take Earth to build all of this?" Chen shrugged. "This particular facility? About 8 months. But we've been developing the technology for decades." "It's 8 months," Vox repeated in a whisper as their ship lifted off from Mars. Vox looked down at the industrial complex, growing smaller below them. The lights from hundreds of buildings sparkled like stars on the planet's surface. "Ambassador," one of his assistants said nervously, "what are we going to tell the council?" Vox closed his eyes and tried to think. How could he explain that single human manufacturing center was more advanced than anything in the known galaxy? How could he make them understand that Earth's basic research surpassed the greatest achievements of ancient civilizations? "We're going to tell them the truth," he finally said, "and we're going to pray they believe us." While Ambassador Vox was still trying to process what he had seen on Mars, an emergency message arrived from the Galactic Council. A hostile alien race called the Devourers had attacked the peaceful world of Kelmar Prime. The planet's defenses had failed, and millions of civilians were trapped on the surface. "Ambassador Vox," came the panicked voice of Council Leader Zara Dex. "We need all available ships to help with the evacuation. Can Earth provide any assistance?" Vox was in President Stone's office when the message arrived. He looked embarrassed as he translated the request. "Our military is already stretched thin," he explained. "We have ships coming from 12 different worlds, but it will take weeks for them to reach Kelmar Prime. By then, it may be too late." President Stone listened carefully, then turned to General Ross. "How quickly can we get ships to Kelmar Prime?" "We leave within the hour. We can be there in 18 hours, General Ross replied. Vox's eyes widened. 18 hours. But Kelmar Prime is 40 light years away. That's impossible. Our ships are faster than you might expect, President Stone said gently. "General," Prepare a patrol fleet for immediate departure. Ma'am, should I send the third fleet? General Ross asked. Okay. No, that's too much firepower for a rescue mission. Send Admiral Davis with a patrol group, something small and appropriate. An hour later, Fox stood on the observation deck of the human flagship Resolute, commanded by Admiral Carol Davis. She was a calm woman with red hair and steady hands, who had served in Earth's Space Navy for 20 years. Ambassador, Admiral Davis said, we should reach Kelmore Prime in about 17 hours. My ships are ready for combat and evacuation operations. Fox looked out the window at the other human ships traveling with them. He counted 15 vessels, each one larger and more advanced than anything in his own fleet. How many ships did you bring? He asked. This is just a small patrol group, Admiral Davis replied. We have the Resolute and 14 support vessels. Nothing too impressive. As they traveled through space, Fox learned more about the human fleet. Ship carried thousands of soldiers and had enough firepower to destroy entire cities. Ships could move faster than light, turn invisible, can repair themselves if damaged. Captain Steve Miller, who commanded the Resolute, showed Fox around the massive vessel. The ship was like a floating city with everything needed to support its crew for months at a time. How many people work on this ship? Fox asked as they walked through the endless corridors. About 8,000, Captain Miller replied. But the ship can run itself if needed. The computers are very smart. They passed through the ship's military section, where Fox saw weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The cargo bays held thousands of small fighter ships, each one piloted by artificial intelligence. Captain, Fox said nervously, this ship could conquer most worlds by itself. Miller looked surprised. Conquer? No, Ambassador. This is just a patrol ship. We use it for rescue missions and keeping peace. If we wanted to conquer something, we'd send a real warship. When they reached Kelmore Prime, Fox saw the devastation caused by the Devourers. The planet's cities were burning, and enemy ships circled overhead like vultures. The Devourers were known throughout the galaxy as ruthless killers who destroyed everything they touched. Admiral, came a voice over the radio. We count 60 Devourer ships around the planet. They have heavy weapons and strong shields. Admiral Davis nodded calmly. Commander Torres, begin evacuation operations. All ships, engage the enemy. Commander Linda Torres, who ran the rescue mission, worked with incredible efficiency. Her ships dropped to the planet's surface and began loading civilians, while the Resolute and other vessels attacked the Devourer fleet. Fox watched in amazement as the human ships tore through the enemy formation. The Devourers had been terrorizing the galaxy for centuries, but they seemed helpless against human technology. Human weapons cut through Devourer shields like paper, and human ships moved too fast for the enemies to hit. How are we doing this so easily? Fox asked Admiral Davis. The Devourers use old technology, she replied, watching the battle on her screens. Their ships are slow, and their weapons are weak. We fought much stronger enemies than this. Within 4 hours, the battle was over. Every Devourer ship had been destroyed or driven away. The human fleet had rescued over 6 million civilians from the planet's surface, loading them onto massive transport ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. Admiral, Commander Torres reported, evacuation is complete. All civilians are safe and being taken to refugee centers. Excellent work, Commander. Admiral Davis replied. Prepare the fleet for departure. As the human ships prepared to leave, grateful messages poured in from across the galaxy. The civilians they had saved spoke of the humans as heroes, as saviors who had appeared when all hope was lost. Ambassador, Admiral Davis said to Fox, please tell your council that Earth is happy to help with future emergencies. We believe in protecting innocent people, Vox could barely speak. In less than a day, a small human patrol fleet had accomplished what the entire Galactic Confederation could not do in weeks. They had defeated an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for generations, and they had done it as if it was routine. "Admiral," he finally managed to say, "how many fleets like this does Earth have?" "Patrol fleets?" "Oh, maybe 100 or so," she replied casually. "Plus the main battle fleets, of course, but those are much bigger." As they traveled back toward Earth, Vox sat alone in his quarters and tried to write a report for the Galactic Council. How could he explain that Earth's small patrol fleet was more powerful than the combined military forces of dozens of worlds? How could he make them understand that humans had solved the Devourer problem in a single afternoon? His hands shook as he wrote. The Galactic Confederation had been wrong about everything. Earth was not a young world seeking protection. Earth was a military power beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. "What have we found?" he whispered to himself as he stared out at the stars. "What have we awakened?" The answer to that question would change the galaxy forever. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council had never seen so many worried faces. Representatives from all 847 member worlds gathered in the Great Hall on the capital world of Zentara Prime. The massive room buzzed with nervous conversations in dozens of different languages. Council leader Zara Dex called for silence. She was an old alien with purple skin and 4 arms, and she had led the council for over 50 years. Never in all that time had she seen the members so frightened. "We are here to discuss the Earth situation," she announced. "Ambassador Vox will present his final report." Vaxeter Krell Vox walked slowly to the center of the hall. His blue skin looked pale, and his hands still shook when he remembered everything he had witnessed. He carried a thick folder full of notes and pictures. "Honored council members," he began, his voice trembling. "I must tell you that everything we believed about Earth was wrong. They are not a young civilization. They are not weak. They are not seeking our protection." Murmurs of concern rippled through the hall. Representative Quinn Drack from the warrior world of Helios stood up. "Ambassador, surely you exaggerate." "Our scouts said they were primitives." "Our scouts were wrong," Vox replied firmly. "What I have seen defies belief. Their single patrol fleet destroyed the entire Devourer armada in 4 hours. The Devourers that have terrorized our galaxy for centuries were wiped out like insects." The hall erupted in shocked voices. The Devourers had been considered unstoppable. 3 different Confederation fleets had failed to defeat them over the past 200 years. "But that's impossible," called out Representative Lyra Voss from the scientific world of Nova 7. "Our best estimates said it would take our entire combined fleet to stop the Devourers. And Earth did it with 15 ships," Vox said quietly. "Ships they called a small patrol group." Council leader Dex raised her hand for silence. "Ambassador, please continue with your report." Vox opened his folder and pulled out several photographs. These images show their manufacturing facility on Mars, one building, and it produces over 100 starships per day. They have dozens of such facilities across multiple worlds. The pictures were passed around the hall. Council members stared in disbelief at the massive industrial complexes that dwarfed anything in Confederation space. They have technologies we thought were impossible," Vox continued. "Instant communication across any distance, matter replication, gravity manipulation, dimensional storage. Things that violate everything we know about science." Representative Talkmarl from the ancient world of Kepler Prime shook his gray head. "If this is true, then how did our scouts miss it?" "How did we not know?" Before Vox could answer, an aide rushed into the hall carrying an urgent message pad. She whispered something to Council Leader Dex, whose 4 arms trembled as she read the message. "Council members," Dex announced, her voice barely steady. "I have just received reports from across our territory. Human ships have been spotted in the Andromeda sector, the Outer Rim, the Dark Zone, and the far reaches. They are everywhere." The hall fell completely silent. The areas mentioned were at the very edges of known space, thousands of light years from Earth. Some were so far away that Confederation ships had never even visited them. Ambassador Alex Rivera from Earth chose that moment to enter the hall. He was a calm man with dark hair and a confident smile. Behind him walked Director Rachel Stone of the Solar Development Authority, a woman with blonde hair and bright blue eyes. "Honored council members," Rivera said politely, "I apologize for the interruption. I am Ambassador Rivera, representing Earth. I believe you have been discussing our membership application." Council Leader Dex stared at him. "Ambassador Rivera, is it true that your people have ships throughout the galaxy?" Rivera looked genuinely surprised. "Throughout the galaxy?" "Oh no, Council Leader. We are only in 12 galaxies so far. We're still exploring the others." The silence in the hall was deafening. The Galactic Confederation existed in only one galaxy. Earth was already present in 12. Director Stone stepped forward with a friendly smile. "I'm Rachel Stone from our Development Authority. I brought our latest expansion report, if you're interested." She pulled out a tablet and began reading casually. "This quarter, we completed terraforming projects on 347 worlds, established mining operations in 16 star systems, and opened research stations in 8 previously unexplored regions." Representative Drax's warrior instincts kicked in. "How many worlds do you control?" "Control?" Stone looked confused. "We don't control worlds. We develop them. We have active projects on about 20,000 worlds right now, but most of those are just research stations or mining operations." Vox felt his legs give out, and he sat down heavily. 20,000 worlds. The entire Galactic Confederation contained less than 900 inhabited worlds. Ambassador Rivera, Council Leader Dex, said carefully, "What exactly does Earth want from the Confederation?" Rivera smiled warmly. "We want to be friends and neighbors. We've been waiting for other civilizations to become advanced enough to join us in exploring the universe. When we detected your radio signals, we were excited to finally meet you." "Waiting for us?" Representative Voss asked weakly. "Well, yes," Rivera replied. "We've been ready for galactic neighbors for quite some time. We were beginning to think we were alone out here." Director Stone nodded enthusiastically. "It's wonderful to find other people who love science and exploration. We have so much we can share with each other." The truth hit the council members like a physical blow. Earth had not been discovered by the Confederation. Earth had discovered the Confederation. Humanity had been patiently waiting for the galaxy to catch up to them. Council Leader Dex realized that the balance of power in the universe had just shifted completely. The Galactic Confederation was no longer the dominant force in space. They were the newcomers, the junior partners, the ones seeking protection. "Ambassador Rivera," she said, with as much dignity as she could manage, "the Galactic Council would be honored to welcome Earth as a member. What tier of membership would you prefer?" Rivera looked thoughtful. "What's the highest tier you have?" "Tier 1, Dex replied, "reserved for the most advanced civilizations." "That sounds perfect," Rivera said cheerfully. "We look forward to working together." As the meeting ended and the representatives filed out, Ambassador Vox remained in his seat, staring at the humans. Captain Jake Morrison had been right during that first encounter near Jupiter. The aliens had been in for a big surprise when they saw what Earth was really capable of. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had not joined the Galactic Confederation as a protected species. They had arrived as its new leaders, bringing with them technology, power, possibilities that no one had ever imagined. The age of human dominance had begun. not through conquest or threats, but through the simple revelation that Earth had been ready for this moment all along. They had just been waiting for everyone else to catch up.